Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and we are back after a little bit of break with these box office high-lows. The last time that we did this was in August, and we both went two dubs, 2 L's. So we're looking to do a little bit better here in the month of October. September we took off because what really came out last month? Like, we had Saw, Paw Patrol, The Creator, just everything came out on the same weekend. The rest of the weekends were pretty empty. So we are back here in October. We missed The Exorcist Believer, where I feel like we both probably would have been wrong. I don't know. That movie was very weird. It had low traction, ended up doing a little bit better, but we get the 3 big movies of the month: Taylor Swift, ERAS, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Five Nights at Freddy's. We have the tracking, we have the over-unders, and we will have our predictions. But before we dive into that, Matt, just what are your overall thoughts with these 3 movies?
Well, first, before we start talking about this, I just want to say I'm an idiot that doesn't know anything about box office. So anything that I say here, Dylan, you know much more than I do about this topic. Anything I say is just pure gut feeling, should be taken with a grain of salt. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what's fun about this. I feel like you are coming at this with more of an approach of kind of understanding how these films have performed in the past, and I'm just coming at it with like a gut feeling says good, gut feeling says bad. But yeah, with these 3 films, I think it's just mostly interesting that we're seeing 3 upcoming weekends where there's really one major release and then nothing else wide. It's all just limited stuff. Like The Holdovers, for example, is going limited on October 27th. Oh my god, there's like a bunch of Netflix movies on the 20th, like Naiad.
Ooh, time to get Naiad.
It's time to make a Naiadillion dollars. And yeah, I mean, obviously no one wants to go up against Taylor Swift and ERAS. So yeah, this is just an interesting month where we really only have 3 films to talk about. But in that sense, you know, because these are all such hyped up films, it's kind of exciting to be like, okay, so are they actually going to do better? Are they going to do worse than what we expected? The first one we're going to talk about is Taylor Swift ERAS. So Dylan, I'll let you set this one up. What do we have here?
Yeah, so we're looking at 100% the biggest music concert recorded film of all time. I'm pretty sure the previous high was Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, all the way back in the day, and that was super lower than this. That was like maybe like 40 million, 50 million opening, while this is guaranteed to be over 100 just based off of pre-sales alone. So the tracking right now is between 105 and 140 million dollars. So that makes our line 122.5. And for me, this is an easy over. Even if there have been some reports in the last few days that there hasn't been great sales since the first day of tickets dropping, the fact that it's already 100 from pre-sales, and pre-sales have been for like the first 2 weeks maybe, just means you need a few walk-ups and a few people being like on the weekend like, oh yeah, this is out, let's go see it, for it to eclipse that 122.5. So for me, this is an easy over, but I think we've said that before and we've definitely been wrong.
I'm going to say over 2, because I don't want to doubt the potentially biggest star in the world right now, which still confuses me a little bit. I mean, Taylor Swift has been around for so long, and she's never been this big. I don't know what has just suddenly made her such a phenomenon, because, I mean, she's always been big, but she's never been this. She's never been sell $100 million worth of tickets in pre-sale from a movie. That's wild. And honestly, power to her. That's really cool. And anything that'll get people out into theaters. Now, one thing I will say, I think that this is probably going to be one of the worst movie watching experiences of all time.
I agree. I'm super pumped to see it, but I already know the whole thing's just going to be the people around you singing, dancing, which is fun. It makes for a good environment, but like, you sometimes just want to watch.
But people are also going to be, like, I feel like it's not just going to be singing along. People are going to be screaming to the point where, like, I feel like you might not be able to hear some of the music. I don't know. It's going to be the concertification of a movie theater, which we've seen more and more of in recent years. There's actually some articles about that where, like, people treat movie theaters like they're concerts now. People bring their phones out, they record. There's going to be so many phones in those theaters. But I mean, the bonus here is that people are actually going to see a movie. and people that normally wouldn't. But yes, I'm going over because not just are kids going to be turning out for this, teenagers, young people, but they're also going to be bringing their families. That's a major thing here. They will be bringing their families, and it's very possible that because a lot of young people don't plan ahead, there will be people that just show up and go, well, are there tickets available? Let me check. So yeah, it might not be selling that well at the moment because it hit that 100 million of people who just had to get the tickets right away. But now we're going to see a bit of a slow time, and I guarantee day of people will be buying tickets.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to track this movie because I could see an avenue where this just holds amazing week to week. It opens, let's say, $140 million. Next week, it's like 75, 80. Like, it has a less than a 50% drop, and it just keeps holding like that, like what a elite blockbuster like Barbie did, like Mario did, like Avatar did last year. Or there's the other alternative. Everyone comes out week one, and people just don't return for whatever reason, and then it kind of drops off. Because I know the initial report is that this is showing in theaters for 4 weekends. It could show for more, but at a minimum of 4 weekends. And to me, is it only 4, or is it going to be 8, 12, 20? It's going to play until early next year. That's going to be the interesting part to me. And I think that just depends on how high this movie could go.
Here's the thing. What Barbie taught us, which we should not forget, is that young women need movies that cater to them. That's the biggest lesson, because people will turn out, especially because young women have not had movies targeted to them at a large, huge, massive scale the way that they have with Barbie and with ERAS now. That audience is going to show up. They are. They showed up for Barbie. They will show up for ERAS 100%. And people will go back multiple times. I didn't even know this. So my fiance is a dance teacher, and her teenage kids, they're so obsessed with Taylor. Apparently they watch recaps on YouTube of every single show that she does in the ERAS tour, because apparently every single show is different. And she does different things. She wears different outfits. Her set list changes every single time. They watch every single different concert just to see what the differences are. People will see this movie multiple times to try and catch the things that they didn't catch the first time.
Definitely. And if there's any Swifties out there, the big thing that she did at every concert out there was she had played some older songs from like The Vault, and like they weren't the same at every show. It's like, obviously she had this era, that era, Reputation, Self-Titled, Red, 1989, but then sometimes like, hey, we have 3 songs, let's play 3 different songs in each different city. So I think that would be really interesting, and I think it would be a great marketing tactic if for the movie, each weekend is a different one of those 3 songs. Or,
oh my God.
Or each time slot is a different of those 3 songs. So you have your IMAX 10 a.m., 1, 4, 7, and each of those are 4 different versions. That's probably a marketing hell to like set that up, but if you can't,
not even
that's
marketing,
so much more money.
The logistics of film traffic and everything. I mean, they did it with Spider-Verse. They did do it with Spider-Verse, where Spider-Verse had multiple different versions. So if ERAS was smart, I genuinely think they would do different versions, because people would buy multiple tickets just to see if they could see every version.
So
damn.
On the flip side, you just talked about a movie marketing to young women, and now we got Killers of the Flower Moon. October 20th, the new Martin Scorsese movie. Definitely aiming for those younger women audiences. But in all seriousness, the tracking right now is at low of 29, a high of 38. Our line is $33.5 million for a 3.5 hour Western drama, slow-paced thriller. And at least on paper, 33.5 sounds so high for a movie like this. But if you just look back a few months ago, Oppenheimer, 3 hours long, $80 million. Is Killers of the Flower Moon doing $80 million? Probably not.
No.
Then you can look at some other comparables. The last time Martin Scorsese had a movie in a wide release was The Wolf of Wall Street. That only did $18.3 million, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But it went on to make about $140, $150 million domestic. Similarly, in that total domestic range was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Opened at $41 million, put about the same domestic as Wolf of Wall Street. And then another Scorsese-Leo collab, Shutter Island, did $41 million domestic as well. So that 41 is kind of sticking out to me. And I'm going to go over with Killers of the Flower Moon. Maybe it doesn't hit the $41 million, but I think it does more than 33.5. I think the most interesting thing with this movie will be how well does ERAS hold, and does ERAS steal the IMAX and the deluxe screens? Right now, it doesn't seem like that, but we've seen in the past, you can flip on a dime and get rid of those screens if you need to.
I don't think it'll steal Killer's screens. I think people at IMAX will just want to keep Killers of the Flower Moon in there just for the prestige of it, to say, oh, we have the new Martin Scorsese movie. This is a tough one. 33.5 being our line. I want to say over because that just makes sense. I mean, like, it's a Martin Scorsese movie. It's a Western. You know, I think I am going to say over, but I'm not too confident in that because the marketing for this movie has been such shit. It's awful marketing. I've been in theaters multiple times where people have had negative reactions to the trailer. I like the trailer a lot, but I've definitely heard some people complaining about those trailers. And the poster is awful. It's so bad. But it's got Leonardo DiCaprio. It is a Western that's coming out in kind of a blank space for the audience that's going to turn out for this movie, because this is a fully different audience than is going to be attending ERAS or Five Nights at Freddy's. So yeah, I want to say over, but I'm really not confident in that. I could see this really flopping.
I guess I could see the small angle for it as well, but pre-sales have done well for this movie. The buzz has all been about Leo in the press saying this is his best performance in his whole career, if not his best performance in the last decade. I think that brings out some people who are like, oh yeah, because we had this discussion in our Discord the other day, is who is the biggest, most recognizable A-list actor? I said it was Leo, because I think if you ask anyone, age, race, background, they know who Leonardo DiCaprio is. They can name you movies off the top of their head. With some other actors or actresses, they're like, oh yeah, I know who Meryl Streep is, but could I name you 10 Meryl Streep movies? Maybe not. With Leo, I feel like they could. And I don't know, I feel like I may be on the opposite side. I've only seen positive stuff for the trailers for this movie, like being in the theater and people are like, oh yeah, that looks so interesting, so good. Leo's doing something completely different, and the trailers are selling it more in action. Is that what the movie actually is? Reports say no out of Cannes, out of these early critic screenings, but the buzz has been great, and I feel like the buzz will carry this movie, kind of like Oppenheimer, where like maybe people think it was more action heavy, but once they see it, they're like, oh shit, this is actually great. Let me go see this. Let me recommend it. Let me watch it a second time.
Counterpoint to Leo being the biggest star, it's really Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is hands down it. He is the biggest A-list star in the world because he can anchor franchises. Leo will not touch a franchise. He's more prestige. It's like the difference between Timothée Chalamet and like Tom Holland, for example.
Or the thing is, though, Chalamet is more popular than Tom Holland is, and Tom Cruise has yet to reach the heights in terms of an opening weekend in a gross that Leo has.
But can Timothée Chalamet sell a film all on his own? I don't think he's at that level yet because he still does indies. He still does art house stuff.
Well, that's what
Leo's
Wonka's
kind of the same. I mean, Wonka, we'll see. We will absolutely see with Wonka. But yeah, my gut is telling me no with Killers. But the fact that Oppenheimer got 80 million, I'm just going to roll with it and say, yeah, screw it. It'll get a little bit over 33.5.
That brings us to our final movie of the video. On October 27th, we finally get the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Tracking is between $35 and $55 million for a line of $45 million. Two things with this movie that I think could hold it back, but also could project it up higher and make more money. The first, it is a day-and-date release like Halloween Ends had, was that last year? I think it was last year, and it put up $40 million with its release date. And the second thing is, the review embargo for this movie comes out 8 hours after it comes out. This movie will be out to the general public for 8 hours before critics can post their reviews. To me, that says this movie's awful. But it could help, ride into it. People don't know it. They go in opening night. They go in that Thursday previews, those first Friday screens. They don't know this is ass. They're like, oh, yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's movies. Let's go. And then they come out like, that wasn't good. I think this has the chance to have toxic word of mouth, but can still put up in a massive opening weekend.
I think it will put up a massive opening weekend because we've never seen a movie quite like this. A horror movie that is entirely sold on IP, that is targeted towards rabid children. The best comparable for Five Nights at Freddy's would be if there was an Among Us movie. This is going to be a film that every single teenager, even some college kids now, and especially like 12 to 13 year olds are going to drag their families to. They're going to say, let's go see a spooky movie for Halloween, and it's Five Nights at Freddy's, my favorite video game. Kids go ballistic for this. And yes, they can see it at home. They can see it at home, but I guarantee you're going to get groups of kids wanting to bring all of their friends to go and see it and watch it as a group away from their parents. So you'll get some kids bringing their parents, other kids going without their parents. This is going to be a massive, massive hit. I think it's going to blast past that 45 million. I really think people are heavily underestimating the pull that the Five Nights at Freddy's IP holds over children and that demographic in general. This is going to be a smash hit. Even if it's a dog shit movie, everyone's going to watch it. It's going to be a sensation.
I guess the back you up there is Detective Pikachu, which isn't a one-for-one comparable, but is another movie based off of a video game that a lot of people have played, and on the younger side, made $54 million in its opening weekend. So that's over our $45 million line. The one thing holding me back from just hammering the over here is the fact that it's available day and date at home in HD 1080 quality. And the majority of the Five Nights at Freddy's fan base are people who are online, who are people who understand how to pirate a movie to get a movie. And maybe their parents aren't around, but they can go off to the other room. They could have a night where the parents are out doing something with a bunch of kids over. And instead of spending $80, $90, $100 for 8 tickets, you're spending $20, you're spending $0 to watch it in the same quality that you could in the theater at home, and you can rewind it, watch it again. I don't know. I feel like this either goes super over or it misses just barely. Like, I don't think it's going to get much lower than this 45. I think it's like 40, but it could go up to 60.
Yeah. Kids don't think of money like that, though. That's the thing. No kid's like, oh, I'm going to save money. They're going to a theater is an event. You know, the same way that going to see the ERAS tour is an event, kids are going to want to go and experience this with their friends, go out, get popcorn. You know, watching a movie at home doesn't have the same vibe. I mean, people will still watch movies at home, but I think something that's been proven time and time again is people aren't going to see movies anymore if they don't feel like the event of the year. And I guarantee you, for this whole sector of kids that really love Five Nights at Freddy's, this is an event, and they're not going to want to stay at home for it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you and go slightly over. But like I said, I feel like this could have a great Thursday, Friday preview opening day, and kind of like those last two Halloween movies, kind of drip off as the weekend goes across, and it could be really close to that 45 line, or it could be well over. But I think the one thing I'm confident saying with this movie is having a plus 60% drop in weekend number 2. It is nosediving off a cliff, whether that's critical ratings or the fact that, hey, we saw it once in the theater, it's available in great quality at home. Let's just watch it again there and rewatch clips, blah, blah, blah. Because, like, those Halloween movies have their fans, and I think there's a very interesting discussion to be like, is Five Nights at Freddy's the top horror IP for the younger audience, or are they still with some of these more horror icons? And I think this is the first real test. You say an Among Us movie, I'm interested to see what that Jason Momoa Minecraft movie does, because that has the potential to make money or crash and burn, kind of like this movie as well. So I think it's a very interesting thing. But for everyone out there, let us know down below, are you over on all three of these movies, or do you maybe go under a Kills of the Flower Moon with Five Nights at Freddy's? And let us just know, what are your thoughts on ERAS? Can it be the #1 grossing domestic of the year? Is it outdoing Barbie, Mario? Maybe, maybe not. But until next time, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this is Fantasy Filmball.